everything pulled pork should be. Oh. This beautiful, deep pork flavor. It's delicious. Howdy folks, welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode we're making a fantastic tasting dish. This one is pulled pork. These are wonderful tasting dishes in the winter, guys, and there's so many different things that you can do with pulled pork. Just by itself on the plate with some vegetables, fantastic. It's so delicious. Put it on a bun. Pulled pork sandwich, oh that's fantastic. Make pulled pork tacos with it. Or stuff a chili or an onion with pulled pork. Guys, there's a lot of things that you can do with this very, very simple to make, wonderful dish. So let's get in the kitchen, and without any further delay, we're going to get busy making pulled pork. Come on, let's go. And there we are, guys, some beautiful pork. Now this is, as I mentioned, pork shoulder. All right, now I want to get this down in the pot. When I first got this, it came packaged up in one of those little nets, and it was actually two parts of probably the same shoulder, but they just kind of roll it up into one thing so it'll roast up as a solid roast. I don't find it necessary to do that for pulled pork, so I just take the net off of it. There we go. I have my pork ready to go with one exception. I'm going to put some water in here, some salt in this, and then we're going to drop it right down in the oven. Now guys, the method of cooking here is called braising. I'm going to put some hot water right down in here, and I want a little of the meat to stick out above it. It doesn't have to completely cover it. In this case, 1 quart is more than enough. As you see here, see how well covered. I'm going to put some salt in there now. Here we go, a little salt. And I'm going to want a couple of teaspoons down in this. This is ready to go in the oven. Now if you want to add any other flavors in that, you can. You can add any chili flavors that you want to it. You can add black pepper to this if you would like. Go ahead and put anything in there that you would like to do so. On this particular recipe, I'm keeping it very simple, because I'm going to be using this in many different things. For instance, sandwiches and tacos and all kinds of different stuff. I'm not looking for a solid single flavor. I'm looking to use that meat in multiple ways. So there we have it. Now down in the oven it goes. It goes on. Here we go. All right, there it is, guys. We're going to leave it in that oven. Now your temperature, you're going to be looking at about 250 to 300 degrees. Now how long? Depends on how big the piece of meat is, the quality of the cut, the altitude. There's a lot of factors, guys. But let me sum it up for you. It's going to be a number of hours. On the short side, you might get lucky and it's only 4 hours. On the long side, it could be as long as 8. Okay, so it's hours. And the way to check, you're going to stick a fork in it. I mean, shove it in there. Lift up. If the fork holds onto the meat, well, it's not ready. The fork has to slide out easily. That way we know the meat is fork tender, and at that point, that's when it will separate on the along the grain of the meat. And that's when it is shreddable, and we get that beautiful pulled pork. Okay, it's a matter of waiting. Now I'm just going to go in here and hang out and get lots of time. Bye. Now folks, I have just pulled this out of the oven. It has been in there for just a little over 4 hours now, and I have that fork tender quality where I can put a fork down in there and you see how it slides out of that meat. Boom, boom, like that, and put it in there again. That's the densest piece. right there. So when it slides out like that, that's when it's ready. And by the way, you know, when it's ready like this, if you want to get a little bit of it and taste it, well, frankly, I think you're kind of crazy not to. Oh, yummy. That's so good. Okay, what I have to do now, I need to wait for this to cool. And the whole thing I need to do here, what I'm wanting to do is to shred the meat and recombine it with its juices. But I want to separate the juices from the saturated fats. Meaning, on top I have saturated fat, it's floated up. Underneath that, we have water mixed with gelatin. And that's the part I want. The water and gelatin will be used for flavoring the meat after it's shredded. So we have to first cool it. And don't worry, this is the best way to do this. I've done this many different ways, and I find this really to be the cleanest, easiest, purest way of doing this. So what I do first is I'll simply sit this out. The lid is caulked, and I give it a couple of hours. Then it's going to go into refrigeration. I will seal the top before I put it there, and basically plastic wrap on it, and then the lid, and that way it's a nice tight seal. And when I pull it back out after refrigeration, that'll be several hours of refrigeration, I will then separate everything, shred the meat, rehydrate it, and do wonderful good things with it. Guys, here we are. This is next day in, and everything is refrigerated. I just refrigerated mine in the same pot. Right now I'm putting some gloves on. I like doing this with gloves, makes it easy and fast. You can do it with a spoon, you can just reach in there barehanded, however you want to do this. What we need to do is separate things. I need to separate my saturated fats from my gelatin, from my meat. Okay, so 3 different items I need. So I have a bowl for the meat. I have a bowl over here for my saturated fats, my lard, and this right here is what I'm going to pour my gelatin through. We'll pour it through this strainer and into this lower bowl. So the first thing, I just reach in with my gloves and very gently pull the lard off of the top. Now on this one, sometimes this lard gets really solid. On this one, there wasn't enough there to produce a heavy, thick, solid layer. So it's just sort of a soft layer. But I want to get it out of my way. What is a benefit is that beautiful gelatinous liquid underneath there. That is what we're looking for. Now what fat is attached to the meat, that part I'm not terribly worried about at the moment, guys. We'll deal with that in just a little bit. Now guys, the next thing I got to worry about is just getting this meat out of here. So I'm going to pull it out, and it's breaking apart real easy. Look at that. Put it into my meat bowl. And that is so good looking. Whoops, I'm getting messy. That happens. There we go. Now I've got all of the rest of this. If you'll notice, that's kind of messy in there. So what I want to do is separate it out, make it nice and clean. We're just going to pour it off through the strainer, and then I have my gelatin. It's all ready to go. Bam, right there. Alright guys, the 2 things that I need the most, my gelatin and my meat. All I have to do now is shred the pork, and I'm going to shred it into this, and then we're going to reheat it. Actually, I don't think I'll use this. I think I'm going to use a pot to shred it in, and I'll put the rest of it in this, and then we're going to reheat some of it, not all of it, and use it for our dish. This is a beautiful way to handle pork. Okay, simple enough. We take our pork, just break off a chunk of that, and just start shredding at it, okay? You can do this with a fork also, but frankly guys, I love this method. It allows me to break it down just the way I want it. If I want to cut it into shorter pieces, I can do. If I want to leave longer strands like I'm doing today, I can do that. It allows you to kind of customize that pulled pork however you want. Now pulled, what does that really mean? That just means pulled apart. You're pulling the pork apart at the fibers. The technique that you use to pull it apart with, well, you can use a dozen different ones. I could hold this with tongs and use a fork and just tear apart at it, or use 2 forks and go at it from opposite sides, ripping it apart. Okay, that's one way. Or you can just do what I'm doing, cool your meat, shred it exactly the way you're going to want it, and this makes it very workable. Then you can use it in any number of ways in any number of dishes. This is what I want to do. I want to sit here and just shred out a bunch of this. Not every bit of it. Some of that pork is going to be used in other dishes and in other ways. So I can use this for all kinds of stuff. Today, I'm going to be doing a stuffed chili. If you have arthritis, by the way, this is good therapy for you. The meat is nice and cold. It helps to chill down the joint as you work it, and you get some movement exercise there while you get a little bit of relief from the cool. Really nice. How do I know this? Hey, I suffer, okay? I feel it too. There we go, guys. I now have a good amount of pulled pork ready to use. Isn't that beautiful? All pulled apart and just right. And the rest of this, like I said, I've got other dishes that's going to go in them. So I have this. Now, why did I save this gelatin? Well, guys, pulled pork is good all by itself. But when you flavor it with the gelatin, oh God, it goes from good to phenomenal. Okay, and that's the trick right there. It's save the gelatin and use it to flavor the meat. All right. Okay, guys, here we go. We're going to get a little of this down in the pan, and we're just going to do a simple recook with the gelatin. Okay, and I'm not doing all of this because I don't need all of it right now. I don't even need that much. There we go. I want to do a portion of it. And we take that beautiful gelatin. There we go. Right down in here. Okay, and it doesn't take more than that. About a half a cup is more than enough. And guys, let me show you something. Look how the gelatin coats that cup. And if you're wondering, is this the same kind of gelatin that I have that's lime flavored or whatever? Yep, it sure is. It's the exact same stuff. Gelatin is that fruit flavored dessert, or sometimes a salad item that we enjoy. Okay, I'm putting a flame under this. I'm going to set it at low. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to bring it up in temperature. I only need this to cook for just a few moments, guys, so it's not like I have to cook it off for a long time. I just bring it up in temperature, make sure it's good, safe to eat, and the right temperature to make my dish with. Now, guys, this isn't exactly what you expect to see when you hear the words pulled pork, right? Hang on. I get it. It's not the most common thing, all right? However, let me slice this in half, give you an idea of what's really going on here. Now take a look. Isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous. The meat filling, that beautiful pulled pork, it's juicy, it's delicious. Guys. Everything pulled pork should be. This beautiful, deep pork flavor. It's delicious. It's unbelievable. And so much of it is attributed to adding a little bit of that gelatin back into the meat, cooking it with it. And it just gives it this incredible, deep, unbelievable flavor. And then you, like I said, you can put it in anything. A sandwich, just put it on the plate. Stuff a chili with it. Whichever suits your fancy. Pulled pork is delicious. So guys, please give this one a try and you're gonna love it. I would like to say thank you very much for everybody that has watched this show, and for my subscribers. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Folks, if you would, just please leave me a comment. Click the like button if you would, if you've liked this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, well, why not? I've got great recipes coming out all the time. There's more coming towards you. So please watch Texas Cooking Today. Please subscribe, and please tell your friends about me. Now, one last thing, please have a good day. Bye-bye.